Hi, so this is part two of the series of on AI tools that I'm using. So this is focused on code explanation part, that what tool I use to understand code. Now this is a big part of developer workflow, right? If you're writing a design doc, reviewing others' code, or sort of trying to understand code base, a big portion of your time you spend figuring out which files, what is the structure, how this particular feature is implemented, and there are tools out there that can be really helpful. Because you will be ideally starting this journey in IDE. So first place maybe you will be Cursor or VS Code, and they do some aspect really well. For example, I could attach a file here and ask questions. Now, for specific files, they are good, but when you have to ask question about the entire code base, it does not do a good job. They do index the code base like Cursor does, but I don't find these answers pretty great somehow. So then you have a couple of options. Like one option is you find specific files and attach it here, or you file all the file and then you go and copy in something like ChatGPT or Anthropic and ask questions about it. For example, I did here that explain me this particular code, and it did. And one interesting thing sometime I do is I also say that, okay, plot a text map, which it did here. This was a text map and also gave me a preview, which is useful. But again, you have to know which files, and that is not generally helpful. More so because you might not be aware of whole part of the code base. So the tools that I find it useful here is ArchAI. For example, here I can take a repo, for example, SemGrep. So the entire code base it has indexed for you, and then it provides nice summary to get started. And this is an agentic workflow where it does bunch of calls to get it out. So it gives you top features, and for each features, it shows you how it is implemented and some code chunks for showing you the implementation. So this gives me a nice overview that, okay, SemGrep is for static code analysis. It's using AST to do all of these extraction, and then it integrates with CI/CD pipelines and all. So it's a nice start for me. And then I can also ask question. For example, how does let me move this. How does SemGrep AST works? For example. So it will then try to fetch code chunks, and according to that, it will try answering that is the core part of this SAS tool, and this is how it's written in OCaml, and what it's doing. So this could also be a good way for me to sort of just understand at a high level what's happening and then dig deeper into a file. Another similar tool, which I find neat and playful, is Greptile. So here also the entire code base is indexed, and you can just go and ask questions. For example, how is what this repo is about. So here, one aspect is for in Greptile, you need to know the question that you are asking, unlike ArchAI, where you also had like summary and all to get started, then follow-up question. Here you need to be more targeted. Like once I gave it the question, it figured out, okay, these are the files it needs to look at, and it will then try giving me answer. It's taking some time at this point, but that's another way for you to go get answer. There are other tools in the similar space, like Codium also has VS Code integration, I think, so that you could use, but have not used it much. There are also other tools in the market. So just to step back, like what are the tools do you have? So if you are just have a question about particular file, then in your ID you just use any tool like Cursor and other. It works. If you want to ask questions where you have a lot of follow-up question, maybe explanation more, you might want to use GPT and other and go there, because you can get nice graph, ask more follow-up question, customize it a bit more. And if your questions are vague, or you are trying to understand larger code base, where you sometimes even don't know the questions to get started, then ArchAI or Greptile are a good place to start, more comprehensive.